We suspected. Let me back up. When Trump got COVID, we knew we were being lied to about a lot of different things. Earlier in the week and last week, we came to learn that one of the things we were being lied about with regard to Trump's COVID was when he was sick. And it is now abundantly clear. Before it was 90% clear. Now it's completely clear. Trump had had a positive test before that infamous debate with Joe Biden, at which Trump showed up late and his staff said, we don't have, trust us. He was tested. We're not going to test on site. He was tested for COVID. We now know Trump had COVID during that debate. We also suspected that Trump was way sicker than was being admitted to by his doctors and his aides, his political aides at that time. And we now have more information about that. Thanks again to Mark Meadows, one of Trump's former chiefs of staff, who has now published a ton of information about what was going on behind the scenes. We have learned, number one, that Donald Trump's oxygen was not just a little low, but it was dangerously low back in October of 2020 when he tested positive for COVID-19. We also learned that the diagnosis in general was far more serious, that Trump's medical team actually pulled Mark Meadows aside and said, listen, his oxygen levels are really, really low. For his age, 86 or lower is very, very dangerous. There is also the revelation now that Donald Trump was so weak that he could not even carry his own briefcase, and that Mark Meadows was advised, you've got to convince Trump to get to Walter Reed Hospital now before things take a turn for the worse. Because if you're trying to hide how sick he is, if the guy can't even walk to the helicopter, it's going to be impossible to continue hiding it. Meadows went in to tell Trump, sir, we got to move you. It's time to go to Walter Reed. Trump was supposedly sitting up in bed in a t-shirt and looked like he was not going to be able to go anywhere. And Meadows says, we always saw the guy in either golf workouts or suit, golf outfits or suit and tie. And Trump looked very, very different here. He was a mess. His hair was a mess, on and on. And Mark Meadows said to Trump, it's better you walk out of here today under your own power than being brought out on a gurney or a stretcher. And that was the time at which it was determined by Trump, yeah, I'd better go. And the idea was, okay, let's go out and carry your briefcase. But he's too weak even to carry the briefcase, we have now learned. Now, are any of these details surprising? No, we had every reason to suspect that Trump was very, very sick and much sicker than was being admitted. Is Trump now admitting that this is what went on? No. Trump is denying these accounts and saying, I didn't have COVID during the debate. It's fake news, all this different stuff. Trump denies everything. So it seems pretty clear to me if you say, well, what's the most likely thing here? What's the most reasonable and likely explanation? Mark Meadows is probably telling the truth. I don't know of any reason, particularly when you know that if you tell these stories, being Mark Meadows, Trump's going to lose his mind. He's going to slam you. It's going to be completely crazy. And at the same time, it follows what we knew at the time. Dr. Sean Conley was being very, very squishy and evasive with, did Trump need oxygen? He's not on oxygen today. No, but did he in the past since coming here? He has not been on oxygen today. Okay, when did he first test positive? I'm not going to look backwards. We want to look forward to the president regaining his health. It all fits with everything that was going on. Trump always wanting to minimize anything bad and play up anything good. The very strange and narrow language used by his doctors, and on and on and on. So no shock, no surprise. Just imagine, I think the real takeaway here is, imagine how crazy things would have gotten had Trump refused to go to the hospital initially and ultimately needed to be brought on a stretcher. What would that have done? And if Trump had ended up even sicker and stayed in the hospital closer to the elections. It all, the way it went ended up seeming not that bad for Trump. at the end of the day, still ultimately did not get him reelected, but it could have been much, much worse. And we're learning that through these revelations from Mark Meadows.